Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. We are now in 2023, and welcome to this episode of Between Two Teachers. It is episode number 188.
Yep.
188 episodes. So, yeah, we've got a whole archive of these discussions. And you can go back and see how we've progressed and have we solved any of those problems. And so today is Monday, January the 9th, and my name is Consuelo Lara.
My name is Madeline Cronenberg, and as always, I am going to start with our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, which is part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkin-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to the region, and we give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people, past and present. And as always, we ask that you support the Justice for Muwekma effort, which is to get the Muwekma people, the Ohlone Muwekma people, recognized federally as a tribe, so that they can get the benefits of being a tribe. And I will now include the QR code to our Trello page. And if you look at the beginning of that, you can read up or go to the websites that will get you to be able to support the Justice for Muwekma. And also where you can see the link to the East Bay Regional Park page that has the 4th grade teaching standards that include the perspective of our Native Americans in their history curriculum. So we have all of that available to you on our Trello page, which is at the QR link. And we also ask and hope that those of you who are watching will like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And so we begin with our national education story. And the one that, there are many, of course, but one of the most unusual ones, or one that struck me as a amazing misunderstanding. And I really don't understand the reason that this could have happened, but in Fairfax County, Virginia, students who received a commendation from the National Merit Award based on their success on the National Merit Test, for some reason, the 3 high school principals and staffs failed to notify students that they had received the commendation. And they are now being investigated by the Attorney General of the state of Virginia for a civil rights discrimination, because many of the students who received the commendation and who had been successful were Asian. And it's looked at as a possible anti-Asian action by the principals in the district. It's a really strange story. It makes no sense why you would do that.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's a racial bias there that's showing, and it's definitely a violation of civil rights. And I hope that the National Merit Organization will now directly inform the students who win and not go through
and not rely on it, because obviously you can't, and that shouldn't be the answer, right? Up until now, this has never been an issue. And it looked at first as if it was just one school, somebody made a mistake, but if you 3 principals at the 3 high schools did the same thing,
yeah,
that's a coordinated, somehow coordinated. And also, it is not, this is a school district that has committed to equity. This is not about equity. This is not how you support equity, by not allowing students who did well to know how well they did, and to receive the certificates. This is a really bizarre decision as far as I can see. It's really hard to understand. And I think it also, and it does damage the students, because there were students who have now been rejected from schools that didn't know how well they tested because they weren't able to tell them,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
it's terrible.
I mean,
So-
there were in the media around this, there was the story of a parent who his son received the rejection letter and then the apology letter from his principal, like one after another in his emails.
Wow. Oh,
Right? It is anyway. This is clearly, you have identified the best practice. The best practice is National Merit can't trust the principals in the school system, which is so unfortunate, but it appears to be the fact now.
yeah.
So anyway, yeah,
Interested in seeing the outcome of that lawsuit. Maybe some other changes will happen as well.
right.
All right.
Well, we'll follow it. We will follow
Yeah.
it. And there's no question the Attorney General is on this. He is focusing on it being an abuse of the equity issues, because there are so many issues around equity within, and equity has been politicized, particularly in Virginia, where Governor Youngkin is. Nonetheless,
Yeah.
this is not about equity, and it means this is a major policy mistake, because it looks to me, if three principals did it, it was a policy. Somebody, you talked to each other. You didn't just do it by yourself by accident.
Wasn't an accident.
No. So we will follow. We will definitely follow it. It's an interesting and unusual and a really unfortunate story. And I hope these families and these students are able to get whatever they need to repair what's happened. The second one is this another really unusual story, and that is the story about what happened in the ranked choice voting in Oakland, in the school board race that Mike Hutchinson is in District 4 with Mr. Resnick. And there was an error in how the ranked choice voting system counted the votes. And this was determined after Mr. Resnick was certified.
Oh, my goodness. Goodness.
So it is a legal mess right now.
Yeah.
Mr. Resnick is certified. There was a recount. Will they do another recount? Who should pay for the other recount? How can you trust ranked choice voting anyhow? The mistake was that if you failed to vote on the line for your first choice, your vote didn't get counted at all. And that was because of a programming algorithm that was put in by mistake. That didn't get, and it impacted a lot of races, but it didn't impact the outcome in any race except the District 4 race.
Okay, so Hutchison is in and the other person's out.
Well, the bizarre thing is Hutchinson already represents District 5. He was running to represent District 4 because his house had gotten redistricted. So he's on the board either way, but he wanted to switch to District 4 and then have somebody come in and be appointed for District 5. Right now, I don't know what happened this morning. There was supposed to be I'm sure there's a number of things that were supposed to happen today. I think they were supposed to have a presentation at court because both of them have sued. And there was supposed to be a swearing in
Of somebody.
of somebody.
All right, so we
And
got
the only one they could swear in is Mr. Resnick, because he's the one who's been certified. So you have to set aside the certification. And that's a big mess. It's just
it is a big mess. And that shows the problems with ranked choice voting. It really is too tricky. I just don't see the value of it myself. So
I don't either. I think, and the fact that it didn't impact more races was just luck. I mean,
yeah,
it could have impacted all of them,
could have. It could have. And
right?
the chance for human error is just too great. So, yeah.
It really is. But
We'll follow.
we'll see. Oakland has chosen to do it. We'll see where Oakland lands after this whole thing shakes out. But right now, this is where we are. And so there's attorneys on all sides here. I'm sure that the county's going to have an attorney, whoever had the machines, whoever did the programming, whoever made the mistake, all of those people are going to have to go before a judge and explain it.
That's right.
So that's where we are right now. So, okay, so it's unclear. And it also, of course, changes the political climate of that board, right? Because if Mr. Hutchison got elected, that was going to essentially undo the school closures. If he doesn't, there's a question as to what happens with the school closures. And so now that's back up in the air.
Yeah.
So, well,
We don't know.
there we all are. This week in West Contra Costa, they're going to once again revisit the community schools, and which is a wonderful thing. And I hope that there's an understanding of the importance of collaboration and shared governance.
That's what this is about.
Right, right. And not just that you make an agreement with an individual. It has to be shared government. It's with the position. That's why it has to be in the contract. Because one superintendent or one board member or one staff member may think one way and somebody else may think another way. And that's, it needs to go beyond the individuals and be in our contractual agreements.
Exactly. That's how we can institutionalize the benefits of community schools. And so it's going to be on the agenda this Wednesday.
Right.
And I'm just hoping, San Pablo has been the leader of community schools. Oh my God,
Yes.
what, 20 years or so? So I hope some of those staff from those schools will call in and talk about how, all of the resources that come to a school when you are a community school. And parents, please call in and talk about that as well. So this is something I just can't believe that anybody would be putting up a fight against community schools. And I want to pitch again the California Labor Management Initiative that really teaches districts and unions how to stop this them and us, adversity kind of thing, and that we're together. And
Right.
I remember going to those conferences, and oh my gosh, everybody should go to those. The unions and the districts go together.
It needs to be the starting point, not the them and us, right? And that's the problem. And one way to do that is through community schools, where you are collaborating with the community. This isn't even about a teacher's contract. This isn't about dividing up funds. This is about sharing oversight of the efforts to support the children in your community. And that shouldn't be that hard to do.
And the money they're just going to leave on the table, that money would go to resources for children, their families, and the schools. I just can't believe it. It's a horrible thing to not.
The issue is the connection to top-down, the top-down authority that the district seems to want. And that's what needs to be rethought, because that is not going to be helpful, and it doesn't institutionalize anything. It really doesn't. It just keeps the authority up at the top, and the top is always going to change. The top is always going to change. So what it does is it undermines any stability that you have. That is really the thing. It undermines stability, and it undermines your school climate and your district climate.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
just going to say that's what I think.
Yep.
The other thing I just wanted to talk briefly about in terms of staff is the staff changes in Orange County. Over the holidays, Orange County was the one conspicuous county in California that made some staffing changes. Capistrano and Orange Unified both fired their for no cause. So they're going to have to pay off the $400,000, $400,000. So you're going to pay maybe $500,000 just to change that person. And the reason they're changing that person is that there was a political change at the election, and a more conservative majority now exists on both of those boards.
Wow, wow. This is happening a lot because of the changes in the boards who think, um, like I think it was South Carolina, they had the first Black superintendent, and when this whole new board came in, they just fired him on the
Right.
spot,
Right, at their first meeting
their first meeting.
was
So,
their first action.
yeah, I mean, yeah, so in California, it's happened down in Orange County, so.
Right. That's what we know of. I mean, we may have another, I mean, this was over, just shows you, during winter break, to have a special meeting just to do this, what they both did. So California is not inured. We're not exempt from the effects of it. It's just that we're certainly not, we don't have as conservative an electorate. And so it doesn't have it's not a massive problem here, but it is if you're an Orange Unified or Capistrano right now.
Yep, yep.
And it's going to change your books. It's going to change curriculum. They want to set aside ethnic studies. That's a big part of it. They want, all of those culture issues, as we call them now.
They don't like the gender neutral bathroom.
Oh.
That's another thing. I mean, so,
Right. And any support of children who are trans.
yes, yes.
No support of that in any way.
Oh, it's sad. It's very sad.
That's where we are with that. And let's see. The one other thing I did want to talk about was as the best practice, because we like to talk about best practices, is the decision-making filter. In different districts, this is not unique to this district, but I did get it for Bozeman, Montana, because they were looking at their budget reduction, and they have a filter that they filter every decision through. And I think just establishing a filter and looking at decisions is the best policy here. Just really being intentional about how you're making a decision and sort of saying, how does this impact what is important to us? And the three things that they put in their filter, and that they literally then in their plans look at, are, how does this decision, in this case, it was budget reductions, how does this decision impact student achievement? How does it align with our district priorities? And finally, what is the evidence that this will work? I think that what I like about it is simple. It's very simple.
Yeah, very simple. You look at a decision you got to make and just answer those questions. Very good.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was that. And then finally, when we talked about this, I did want to just say, we had briefly mentioned this once before. There's an update on the Instagram case out of Albany Unified, where a couple of years ago, there was a Instagram account developed by students right outside of school, private Instagram account, which was which had within it a lot of bullying of other students. When the private Instagram account came to the attention of the district, of the principal and the other members of the district administration, they expelled the students who ran the account. The students sued for the expulsion, saying that they shouldn't have been expelled because it was a private account. It wasn't a school account. And the Ninth District Court upheld the right of the school district to expel them, even though it was a private account, because it was clearly dangerous to students in their system.
Exactly. Remember, I went to that National School Safety Summit that was put on by CISA, which is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And they take that very, very seriously. It's not private when you are threatening, when you're bullying, because this is the place where a lot of the organized violence happens at schools.
Right.
So
right.
This is not a game.
So it hadn't, my understanding is it hadn't been tested before. And now the district court, the US District Court has weighed in with a very clear statement that the school districts have a right. They are protected by law to follow their responsibilities and protect their students. And that social media is not some place where you can hide out and bully people and think you're somehow protected because you're on your private social media account.
Yeah, no. Don't do that.
So that was a big case.
Big.
The other interesting one is the San Francisco payroll problem. San Francisco created a very bizarre, anyway, San Francisco changed payroll systems, and that's not unusual. The problem that they ran into was they didn't leave the original system in place while they brought in the new system. And when the new system had many hiccups and basically failed, they didn't have the old system to go back to. And the consequence of that was that millions of dollars in pay did not get to their employees
Oh, my goodness.
for a long period of time. And Dr. Wayne, Matt Wayne, who is their new superintendent, inherited this problem. It was happening as he came in, right? And so he has done, I give him a lot of credit because I think he did this part. He understands that what really people need to know is, all right, how are you fixing it? How is it coming along? Because it's so complicated to fix it. And he's had to bring in additional staff, which he's done. And well, the other thing he did was he created a dashboard to show people exactly where they were, where the district is on any given moment in the number of cases of, for example, this week, they don't know from week to week who's going to get paid. So this week, 4,400 people, 4,484 employees were impacted. 4,484 impacted. How many got resolved? 90. How many were new employees? How many days did it take to resolve? The average time to resolve it is 128 days.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a big deal. But
This is a,
he at least put it up.
yeah, transparency. Good for him.
That's it. And what that's the whole thing here, because this is not good news. This is usually but the thing that the district would never want to tell you. We have
Exactly.
4,000 cases and we only resolve 90, and it takes 120 days to resolve something, right? That's the last thing they want to tell you. But he's got it right there. So I think that's the model. Don't be afraid to tell the truth, right?
Yes.
Good job, Dr. Wayne. Now see if you can make it go faster.
Yeah, now fix it. Oh, poor people.
Right. But at least that is the example of what it looks like to be transparent. That is
Yes.
the poster child for transparency right there.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's my best practice for transparency. And my last one is it comes time for our shout out.
Yeah, well, I'd like to shout out to our supervisor, John Joya, getting sworn in tomorrow, and he's such a supporter of education, of our teachers and our schools, and yeah, my shout outs to him.
Okay. And I will be there. Look forward to seeing him tomorrow and congratulating him. And my shout out goes to Casey Bertram, superintendent of Bozeman Public Schools. So I have spent time recently in Bozeman, Montana, and I was following the saga of their budget problems. And Mr. Superintendent Bertram was given a chance, had a task force that told him these were the steps he had to take to resolve his budget. And one major step on there was close one elementary school. And Superintendent Bertram crossed it out and found another way. He put in all the reasons that didn't make sense to him, and the projections, all the various reasons. But it took, I think, a political courage on his part to go against the task force that clearly said you had to do this, and to just say, no, I don't have the bandwidth. I don't think it's the right thing for my communities. I think it's gonna upset, it's gonna cause too much upsetment. I'm not sure that I won't need those schools in 2 years from now. I'm not convinced. I'm not recommending it. So good job, Casey Bertram.
Absolutely.
And
Sounds like-
anybody else, I think he's a model for superintendents. You don't have to listen to a task force that recommends something that you honestly don't agree with.
Yeah, yeah. And I think he's close to that community. I think he's listening to them and what their needs are, but good for
Yeah.
him.
Good
Yeah.
for him. And he's a newer superintendent. He's just about in for 1 year now. So he's a new
Right.
superintendent, and which means that he is closer. He hasn't been at the, he knows his community. So he would be very surprised. I will tag him on here that we're even talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Superintendent Bertram, good job. Good job. Welcome to Between Two Teachers.
Absolutely.
And so with that, welcome to 2023. And next time we'll have episode 189.
189. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.